was kind of unfortunate. I'm sorry that that happened. All right, here we are live on YouTube. All right, good evening, everybody. So grateful to see you all here with us. And we are here for our Thursday evening deep dive into the psychotherapy, or not psychotherapy pamphlet, the Song of Prayer. And so let me find it where we ended up last week. All right. Hope everyone is having a good time. It's cold here. We're chilly, so, but I'm just trying to stay warm. Thinking about moving to someplace like warmer. I can see now why old folks move to Florida because it is once you get older, your bones don't like the cold so much. At least my bones don't. All right. So we're in the Song of Prayer. We're in section 3 of part 1, praying for others. And who would like to read paragraph 5? We come to North Carolina. Oh, I'd love it. Oh my gosh, Mickey. I know you probably know the Art of Living Retreat Center there. Dove and I have been there a couple of times, and oh my gosh, and I keep getting the things from them to come for their seminars. Oh my gosh, I would love to go there and be there, but here I am in cold Colorado. All right. So who'd like to read paragraph 5? Rafi?
I'll take it.
Great, thank you.
5. Stand still an instant now and think what you have done. Do not forget that it is you who did it, and who can therefore let it go. Hold out your hand. This enemy has come to bless you. Take his blessing and feel how your heart is filled and your fear released. Do not hold on to it, nor on to him. He is the Son of God along with you. He is no jailer, but a messenger of Christ. Be this to him, that you may see him thus. Well, that just says everybody is a mirror to our consciousness. It's so obvious. It's never them. In fact, there is no them.
Absolutely. I just find this so beautiful because he's not talking about any one specific person, any one specific kind of person. He's talking in general about our relationships with each other. And these people that we believe are our enemies, they're really here to bless us. And I think in this day and age, this time, it's really important to learn this lesson. Mickey, please go ahead.
Hi. So the thing that jumps out at me is he is no jailer. Because if we're going to hold someone in contempt, if we're going to hold a grievance about somebody, we've put them in jail, but we've also put ourselves in jail. And I know how hard it is to let go if you think somebody has wounded you grievously. There are one or two people in this world who I still have not been able to let go of thinking they did something wrong. And I would really love to do that. Rafi, maybe I could sit down with you someday and let go. Somebody gave me, at the end of the retreat that I went to, somebody gave me this beautiful sticker of this dandelion puff, and part of it was floating away, and underneath it says, "Let that shit go." it's it's such a contrast because the artwork is just stunningly beautiful, and there's that bomb that it says at the bottom. But we're putting ourselves in jail if we're holding on to a grievance. If we consider anyone an enemy, it's like being in jail. And I know that we create our own prisons with that. So back to you, Lynn.
Yeah, thank you for that, Mickey. Yes, that is absolutely so true. And who doesn't have someone whom they haven't completely forgiven? If we have completely forgiven everyone and everything, then we probably wouldn't be here having this conversation. This is my own personal belief that if I have completely forgiven everyone and everything that I held any kind of grievance against, then I would have no more need to learn. I mean, that would just be it. You're done. Um, because
Right, we'd be ascending.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so, what is it that's preventing that is my wanting to keep that person in jail. My wanting to, that's why, it doesn't help us. It doesn't help me to look at the world and think, this is a good guy and this is a bad guy and this guy's going to ruin everything and this guy's going to fix everything and, all these ideas. And of course, it's always a guy. Um, all these ideas that have to do with something that is absolutely not not true. Absolutely not true. And so, the idea that I think I know what something is for, understand, I think I know what the future is going to be. I know what the past was. I don't know any of these things. And so the idea that somehow or the other, I could still hold a grievance, when nothing has gone wrong. Um, I think that's pretty crazy. Rafi, please go ahead.
Well, as long as you hold a grievance, as long as you think you got an enemy, you're coming from an ego point of view of judgment. And that's always wrong. If anybody out there does something that upsets you, welcome that trigger. They're showing you got something to let go of. If you don't let go of, who's carrying it around? Who's carrying the grudge? Who's holding on? All of that stuff is perpetuating or repeating suffering. Everybody out there is a divine mirror. They're showing you either how much love you have, or how loving you are, or what you need to let go of, what you're holding on to, what you hate in them, you hate in you. And as long as you're holding on to that hate, you're the one that's suffering. They're not suffering. They're going about their business in this dream that never was. But you're walking around going, "Ah," and how the hell does that help anybody? Doesn't help you, doesn't help them, doesn't help anything. And even to standing in line at a supermarket checkout. It's taking too long. God damn it, what's the matter with you? What do you mean you don't have your credit card is how's that helping you? Patience, loving, compassion, understanding. And if there's something that's bothering you, it's bothering you. It ain't bothering them. And you need to fix it. So there, again, it's a divine mirror. Everything is working for us. Everything. There's not one iota of a moment that is not perfectly orchestrated for our benefit. But you just got to see it that way.
Thank you, Rafi. And yeah, that's exactly, it says here, be this to him that you may see him thus. He is a son of God along with you. He is no jailer, but a messenger of Christ. Be this to him. So, that's really what I need to be focusing on is being a messenger of Christ. I'm here to represent him who sent me. I'm not here to represent, Lynn and her ideas about how things should be. I'm here to represent the Christ. And so if I can remember that And then no matter what the grievance, no matter what the person does or doesn't do, or how they are not, I honestly believe that if I could just let go of all of these meaningless grievances that are based on ignorance, and actually we're able to just experience what I know is real, which what I know is real is that uh, God's son is innocent. That may not be what I experience in the world because I want to attack and see guilt. But if I know, first I have to say, do I believe what A Course in Miracles is telling me? Do I believe this is Jesus or some entity from out of space and time that is trying to reach me to help me change something or see something in my life? Do I really believe that that's true? And if I do, which I will tell you I do, then if that person says to me, lay down your grievances and see the Christ in your brother, then if I don't do that, and I'm purposely not doing that, why? Because I'm arguing with the source. I'm arguing with, if I believe it's Jesus, I'm arguing with Jesus. I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about, Jesus. Obviously, you are completely, you don't know what's going on here. If you saw this guy, you would condemn him too. That's what I'm doing. I'm arguing with Jesus about this. And there's either I believe it or I don't. Either it's true or it's not. And if it's true, then uh, why would I be sabotaging myself by doing the opposite thing? Just a thought. Anybody else have any thoughts about this?
There's no such thing as an enemy.
And I really liked what Rafi said before about look at what you're doing. And I think that's a big tool in the course that we can use, that stepping back and being the non-judgmental observer. Even if the ego is screaming, I can't forgive that person, we can step back and look at the ego screaming and say, oh, look, it's that insane voice talking to itself again. But I don't have to listen to it. Wah, 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 wah. You know, it's unfair. What they did is so unfair. I can't stand it. That's the ego. I don't have to listen to it. I'll pass to Karen. I want to hear what she says.
Thanks, Mickey. Go ahead, Karen.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm just looking at the paragraph above it for a minute, talking about the escape from guilt. Before I can, be still an instant, he's saying, that we want to escape the guilt. And, the Course tells us that the Holy Spirit knows that all salvation is escape from guilt. So, if I can't escape the guilt that's in my mind through the Holy Spirit, I'm going to project it onto you. So being still an instant and think what you have done, do not forget that it is you who did it, and who can therefore let it go. So I'm the one who has I'm the one who needs my mind healed. I need to heal my own mind. And I can only do that in the holy instant, where I can't see my brother's past. I can't worry about the future. I'm only here in the holy instant. And it's really a practice. I mean, and it takes a lot of vigilance, and it's for everyone. It's not for some. And I my daughter is my biggest classroom. She's my biggest teacher, and her boyfriend, who she's been with for probably 14 years now, it's like they're always having some kind of something going on between them. And today I spoke with both of them, and both of them told me a different story. So it was just like, so I had to see the Christ in both of them and just, come from a place of love and know that it's just so much fear. There's just so much fear. And all I can do is, be the love and, not see anything different as, he is just as much of a son of God as she is. And she wants to blame him. He wants to blame her. And, and I usually don't get in the middle, but my daughter asked me to call him today. And so, I felt like I was getting in the middle, but I asked Holy Spirit first. So I just mostly listened. And it's really, to see the Son of God is to see it in everyone. It's not to just see it in some. And that's what my biggest, I think, lesson is here, because it's not, you know, I don't care what you did, it doesn't matter. It's over, it's past, it's done. And that's what I think the escape from guilt is, recognizing that it's only right here, right now, and I have to be in that holy instant. Thanks.
Thank you, Karen. Yeah. And yes, that's the thing, is to not um not believe the story, no matter what the story may be. And he may say one thing, she may say something else, and that neither one of those things is really what is happening, because we all see from a different point of view. But I mean, even they've proven basically eyewitness testimony is the least reliable kind of testimony that you can have in a court of law. People used to think eyewitness was the most, but when you recognize that everybody sees things from their own point of view, you're never going to get the same story or the right story. So, he is right, she's right. And, that's what we have to recognize. We're right, but we're also, completely wrong, because none of it is really what's happening. So, and that's the admission that I don't know is probably the most powerful thing that I can do, to just admit I don't know. I don't know what I don't, I wasn't there. Even if I had a, closed circuit camera looking, I would have seen something different than what she saw, than what he saw. I don't know, because we all have our own story. So, and the truth is not a story at all. There is no story in the truth. The truth is just the truth. So, all these ideas that we have about our brothers, you just might as well admit, I'm no closer to knowing the truth about this than anybody. I mean, it is a story that I made up too. And so that's why it's so helpful to just recognize that, I don't know what anything is for. And I think the course says that's the thing that the ego is most afraid of, is that I don't know the thing I am. And once I recognize I don't know the thing I am, then I can be shown. Rafi, please go ahead.
Yeah, I think you misspoke yourself when you said what you said, because you were much further along than you believe you are. Well, I listened to what you said, and how erudite it is, and how perfectly right on with the truth of what we know. Um and then you say, but that's ego doesn't know. It doesn't know anything. Because it's a recording and playback machine. It only repeats stuff mechanically over and over again, self-references itself. It can't possibly know what the truth is, but you do. And you need to look at that, and understand the difference between that thing that goes on, that rattles on and on and on and on, and the truth of what you know and what you are, because I see the difference really clearly. And maybe you need to take a step back and just give yourself a credit, just by saying, I'm doing the best I can. because the best you can that you're doing is, well, listen, who leads all of these these Zoom meetings that we do? You do. And why? It's because you understand what's going on.
Oh, thank you, Rafi. Uh, I don't even know why I do it, but I think it's just because I want to join with you guys in every 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 way possible. And that's what I need. And that's why I can't curse my brother. I can't curse you. I can't curse, a politician or a healthcare provider, or that's the thing. We don't know. And so you have to assume that they are the Christ, because that's what Jesus tells us. He's the Son of God. That's it.
And so are you.
And so am I. That's right.
And the other thing is, there are no accidents. If you weren't supposed to be doing this, you wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Okay, you'd be doing laundry or something. This is everything is unfolding exactly as it's supposed to be for our benefit.
Yeah.
And how many times have we heard Dove said, what can you not accept if you realize that I'm paraphrasing, of course, but that everything that it's unfolding is unfolding exactly as it should for our benefit. And if you just step back and get into acceptance and accept that, then you're coming from that higher point of view of acceptance, and everything that's unfolding you can see it as unfolding perfectly. And you're coming from a place then of receptivity, acceptance, compassion, understanding, kindness, loving equally without, it's like somebody who I forget it was who said, God love doesn't pick and choose. Okay, it's even that presence is for everyone. So it's for people who are murderers and people who will pray 20 hours a day. It doesn't matter. It's the same.
It's the same. It's exactly the same. So thank you, Rafi. Thank you for that. I love you, brother. Is there anybody else have anything they'd like to say about paragraph 5 or paragraph 4? I know we kind of went over it last week in some great depth. If anyone wanted to reread that, or maybe just move on to paragraph 6. And that's the last paragraph in this section. So why don't we do that? Who would like to read paragraph 6? Oh, please go ahead, Mickey.
This looks like a juicy one. It is not easy to realize that prayers for things, for status, for human love, for external, quote, gifts of any kind are always made to set up jailers and to hide from guilt. These things are used for goals that substitute for God and therefore distort the purpose of prayer. The desire for them is the prayer. One need not ask explicitly. The goal of God is lost in the quest for lesser goals of any kind, and prayer becomes requests for enemies. The power of prayer can be quite clearly recognized, even in this. No one who wants an enemy will fail to find one, but just as surely, he will lose the only true goal that is given him. Think of the cost and understand it well. All other goals are at the cost of God. Who boy. So we don't even have to ask because, as it says in the Course, God knows the prayers of our hearts. And so if we're holding on to some want or desire of a lesser quality than the love of God, which Lord knows why I do that. But there are still some things that I think I lack or think I need. And, it becomes a request for an enemy. Anything that, even if I want, you know, the love of another person or the love of grandkids, or if I want, to feel safe and secure, like Rafi says, or in control, or other people's approval, I'm wanting something other than the love of God. And that's just senseless, and why I still, am fooling around with this stuff in my mind. I have no idea, but we do that, and we just have to let it go and understand that what we really want, the only thing we're ever running from is God. And and that's just going in the wrong direction. Thanks.
Thank you, Mickey. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, this is really a great paragraph. You're right. It's very juicy. And I love to hear what Sharonda has to say. Please go ahead, my friend.
Thank you. I wanted to reread it.
Please do.
Okay, thank you. Good to be with you. I was watching on YouTube and I thought, oh, what the heck? Let me get on there. 6. It is not easy to realize that prayers for things, for status, for human love, for external gifts of any kind are always made to set up jailers and to hide from guilt. These things are not used for goals that substitute for God and therefore distort the purpose of prayer. These things are used for goals that substitute for God and therefore distort the purpose of prayer. The desire for them is the prayer. One need not ask explicitly. The goal of God is lost in the quest for lesser goals of any kind, and prayer becomes requests for enemies. The power of prayer can be quite clearly recognized even in this. No one who wants an enemy will fail to find one. But just as surely will he lose the only true goal that is given him. Think of the cost and understand it well. All other goals are at the cost of God. I have I have someone in mind who is facing a serious surgery next week, and there's this part of me that says this need not even be, because the word of God, the love of God, the truth of the truth of God's love makes that surgery unnecessary. Either that appearance in the body is real or God is real. And, so how do I be here? And one of my awarenesses is, well, how does this not sound like ego? I want to be able to be an instrument for her healing, and I'm not even supposed to have that goal. How do I be with this person in thought and be fully in the thought of God's perfection, the allness of God, the eternality, the eternalness of God's creation of her, perfect, unchangeable. And so as I think about this, perhaps, I don't know how to say this, perhaps the most important thing is how I am with this. Because I'm supposed to be seeking to know God and leave everything else to God. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you for that, Sharonda. And yeah, I mean, that's, think about it. And, Jesus is telling us we don't even know what it's for. So, we may look and say, oh, I don't think that surgery is necessary, or I think it's for this or that, but we don't know what it's for. So, being able to just step back and let things be exactly as they are, without any prayer for anything. You know, the prayer for things, for status, for human love, for health, for all of those things, they're idols. The whole idea of, you know, the health of the body, it's an idol. The whole idea of the health of the mind, it's an idol. You know, why would we pray for these things? Because they're not our reality. They have nothing to do with the truth, and they're goals that substitute for God. So, you know, I love this discussion because, you know, it's really making me look at what I look for, what I ask for, what I want. And, you know, obviously, um, I'm slapping myself now. Not really. Sharon, please go ahead.
You know, I was listening on YouTube and I came in because I realized it's better when you come in the room. But I was going to say that what I see in my mind is that the ego is a habit. And just like smoking or dieting, every habit takes presence. If I'm not present to the habit, then the habit has me. And that's what I see happening with my mind. But what I have said, and I said that today, is the divine will is in charge. So no matter what you're doing, you can't usurp the power of the divine will. The awakening is taking place, but the ego thinks it's going to look a certain way, and we have no idea what it looks like. And I think that there's also maybe a misperception about awakening, that once you wake up, there's no more. And what I have, you know, really looked into so many teachings and also listening to different, you know, beings that say they are awake, that it's an ongoing process. It never stops because we're formless. And what we're doing is we're shedding the dark corners of thought, these made up, like, you know, images that, you know, we really became mesmerized by. And the habit is, you know, I can hear the mind say, well, you have to really worry about that operation because you want to be a good person. And this is the kind of stuff that we were taught. This is the conditioning. But being a good person is nothing compared to being the all. And so it's just a matter of desire. Like, what is it that I want in this moment? And suppose I do go back in ego. I do that quite frequently. It doesn't stop the divine will from shifting. And the shifts that happen, you know, really crack you up. I mean, you start laughing because you realize you're doing this to yourself. The whole play is about you, you know. So it's like, you know, I want to go for 25, for 2025. I just want to be gentle because, you know, as the process is unfolding, the ego is the only part of my mind that's not gentle about awakening. It's the only part that says you're not doing it right. You haven't even done that yet. You haven't done that lesson, you know. And what Ken was always teaching was, go to bed, don't do the lesson, skip it for a night, or go to bed angry at someone. Because all of the stuff, that the beliefs that are carried into our ego mind, is all the same. There's no ego here that doesn't have the same desire to just be loved and accepted exactly where we are. Anyway, that's all. Thanks.
Thank you for that, Sharon. And yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about this awakening thing, and you know, what is it really? I mean, Jesus tells us in A Course in Miracles, if I live in you, you are awake. So that's a pretty good definition to me. If Christ lives in me, then I am awake. And I can tell when Christ is expressing through me, and I can tell when ego is expressing through me. It's pretty clear on most most situations. So yeah, you know, uh, uh, maybe it's something that has to be, you know, maybe you do go in and out, and you do go in and out apparently, because I know when I'm, you know, when I'm in my Christ mind, and I also know when I'm in my ego mind, and it's really apparent to me, and I'll fight for it. I'll fight for the ego mind. I'll say, yeah, I deserve that, or yeah, it should be, or something. Yeah, you know, it's important or something at this point in time for me to be judging and angry or afraid or whatever. But the reality of it is, I'm fooling myself if I believe that's true. And like that, is it Sticks? You're fooling yourself, but you don't believe it. Yep, there you go. Anybody else have any thoughts about this paragraph or anything else that we've talked about so far? So what do you think about what it says? He says here, the goal of God is lost in the quest for lesser goals of any kind, and prayer becomes requests for enemies.
Like, thou shalt have no other gods before me, seek only for God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty clear that way. So yeah, and I know when I'm doing it. And like I said, I'll fight for my right to be wrong. I'll defend myself being wrong. Oh my God, it's horrible. Rafi, please go ahead.
Yeah, when you have any other purpose or any other want besides what happened to the screen? Oh, okay. Besides the initial purpose or the only purpose, which is self-realization, freedom, imperturbable peace, however you name it, then you're coming from I want this, I want that. You're coming from a place of lack. Lack. You look at a dictionary, lack, and next to it is the word want. Look at a dictionary, want. The word lack is right next to it. And if you're coming from that, you're coming from suffering. Buddha said that 2,500 years ago, told us about that. And as long as you're coming from want, you're in a perpetual state of suffering, because even if you get what you want in this dream, it can never be satisfying. You can't get something out of a mirage that's going to fulfill you. Even if, no matter what it is, if you get it and you still have an attachment to it, there's going to be suffering. It'll never be enough. Oh, I have $1 million. Mine's going to say, yeah, but if you had 1.5 million, then you'd be happy. Oh, I have 1.5 million. Oh, yeah, but if you have 2 million, then you'd be happy. And it's never going to happen. Okay, even if it's a basket of fruit, it doesn't matter. Now, if you have 2 baskets of fruit, okay, so anything but the initial and primary purpose, any want that has anything to do with anything other than that, is perpetuating suffering and staying in that ego victim mentality, which is not true, is not real, it's not me, it's not you, it's not even a thing. But, we made it all up. But there it is. And unless we find a way to quiet it and get beyond it, transcend it, and fortunately, we have stuff like this and inquiry and Ho'oponopono and release technique. We have all these things that are there to help us, and every moment is specifically designed to help us, as long as we are in tune with it. I forget who it was. It said, we are infinitely, constantly, lovingly guided toward our greatest good. Always, always. It never takes a moment off. God doesn't blink. God doesn't take a vacation. God doesn't pick and choose. It's always, and that has to be the primary purpose. Otherwise, you're into what they're describing here, perpetuating suffering over and over again, and then complaining about it. Not going to happen.
Yeah, feeling like you're the victim because you don't get what you think you wanted. I love that. Thank you, Rafi. That's very clear. Yeah, Mickey, please go ahead.
Rafi just reminded me about a story that I heard in school sometime. I can't remember when it was. They were telling a story about John D. Rockefeller, and he was being interviewed, and the reporter asked him, "How much is enough?" And his reply was, "Just a little bit more." And it's never enough, that we always want just a little bit more. It doesn't matter how much money or how much stuff you have. Or yeah, I that was so perfect, Rafi. Thank you.
Love that. Yeah, and that's it. And you know, Dove often points out to us that in the course, the Antichrist is more. So it's that concept that there is more. And isn't that why we're here? We wanted more than what God would give us. We wanted more than heaven. We wanted something else. You know, it's crazy. Karen, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm glad that Rafi brought up that, that sense of lack, because now I'm looking at this very last sentence. All other goals are at the cost of God. So all other goals, and I'm thinking of lack because any other goal is thinking that I need something. He's saying here, um, these lesser goals, um, these external gifts, something outside of me, thinking I need something outside of me. All these other goals are at the cost of God. It's at the cost of God. So it reminds me of where, in the Course and in the Bible, where he says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all else has or will be given unto you. And that's for me, like with every situation, noticing, when I'm asking the Holy Spirit first, before I do anything, attempt to, you know, in any situation. It doesn't matter what the situation is. And that they, the Course says that everything you think that is not through the Holy Spirit is lacking. So there's where the lack is, because I'm not thinking through the Holy Spirit. I'm thinking with the ego mind that thinks it needs something outside of itself. And it's always, it's always, it's not, it's just never that. I can't even put it into words, but I think you know what I'm saying. So thank you, Rafi, for bringing that up, because that's huge. I mean, that's really where all the pain comes from, thinking that we need something outside of ourselves to make us complete. Thanks.
Wow, thank you for that, Karen. Yes, it's and the if we understood that there's nothing outside of ourselves, then there's nothing that could do that for us, no matter what. Everything that we want and need is already here. And you know what is more than everything? Nothing. Nothing is more than everything. Uh, Anybody else have anything they want to share? I thought I saw Rafi's hand up, but he may have just been
No,
thumbs up.
she said it exactly when she said, "Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven within, and all these things will be given to you." When we are one with the infinite being that we really are, that's it. Okay, what's bigger than infinite? But if you're coming from a point of view that you're a person and you're limited, well, that's wrong. That's just completely wrong. And we get back to cute anytime we want. Oh, you think you're a person who was born, going to live a while and die? Oh, that's so cute.
Thank you.
But no, Lester used to said, every one of us is seeking the truth of our infinite self. But because we're coming from a point of view that we're a person, we're looking for it in this world, in this dream world, and it ain't there. So that just perpetuates the problem. But when you go beyond it, when you seek the truth, then you are the all. If you are the all, then what do you need? Nothing. Lester even said, if you wanted to, once you go free, once you become have that transcendent experience, and you know you are the all, said you can travel to different planets. You can create 4 or 5 bodies that just like you and put a bed anywhere. He said you're infinite. There's nothing you can't do. But you got to get there first and stop looking at yourself like, oh, wait a minute, I'm this person that needs stuff. Oh my God, you know what? I got to buy socks. Well, go buy socks. Stop saying I want them, because you can't want and have them at the same time. But again, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven within, and all this stuff will be given to you. Absolutely.
Thank you, Rafi. And you remind me when you're talking about the infinite all and being that what Lester was talking about. If you have read I Am That, Nisargadatta Maharaj, they ask him a question about, well, what are you doing here? And he says, I'm not here. I'm not where you are at all. Where I am, none of this is going on. I'm just looking over here at you in this place. And I really uh, got this understanding that yes, when you have that realization, you're not here in this dream. You're not dreaming the dream anymore. And so you can look at the dream, you can see the dream, you can see the dreamer, but you are not the dreamer. And that I spent a lot of time contemplating that whole discussion with Maharaja, uh, because it shifted me in my idea or understanding of what it was to be awake in this world. It shifted me completely. And that's why, people would say, oh yeah, well, he was he Nisargadatta, he argued with people and he yelled at people and all. That was the character there doing that. It was not him at all. But what the character was doing was what the student needed to hear, what the student needed to experience, so that the student would recognize something about their situation. Uh, you know, just because a person appears to be here in the world, don't believe what you see. Yes.
Lynn, I just want to just add, he also says to the somebody's complaining that he's smoking. And he said, I'm not smoking. That's that guy over there. I'm not that. I'm not that.
Ah,
He was so clear that he was not the person. The person could smoke. The person could do whatever it wanted to. And that's a good message for us. Like, what is it to be the truth? We are right here, right now. And the character, what I see in me is I have this addiction to Sharon, believing that somehow she's important. And so that's just something to let go of.
Yeah.
Anyway, that might come up a lot. I'm sorry, Lynn, I just.
Oh no, I'm glad you popped in with that, because yeah, that's exactly the same thing. It's like the knowing that you're not the character, you're not the dream figure, and knowing that all we're doing is we're observing a dream, we're watching a dream, and just like if you're watching a movie and you start getting caught up in the movie and you think you're experiencing yourself as the character in the movie, which does happen. What's the point of a good movie if it's not for you to have an experience of something other than what your regular experience is? So, we're watching a movie and we're mistaking ourselves for the characters in the movie. And the fact is that we can step out of that and step off the train. Go to Willoughby. Anyway, our time is just about up. Does anybody else have anything that they want to share before we close out? Yeah, Mickey, go ahead.
I just thought it was so funny what you guys were talking about, you and Sharon, because Nisargadatta's book was I Am That, correct? And then Sharon said one of his favorite phrases was I'm not that. So
Yeah, yeah.
I thought that was really hysterical.
He was crazy. I mean, he would literally scream at people that would come in there. Sailor Bob was one of my favorite people to read, not to listen to, but to read. And he screamed at him when he met him. Like you would say, well, that guy can't be awake. Look at him. He's screaming. Actually, he was awake. But the character, he let the characters be the character. And, that could be easy, too, to do it that way. But anyway, I had to get in there. Because I do feel that Nisargadatta Maharaj is a perfect example of us not paying so much attention when we mess up. Just give ourselves a pass.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about Maharaj was that he was He was obedient to his teacher. His teacher said, do this, and he did it. And within 3 years of doing what his teacher told him, he was awake because he was obedient to his teacher. I'm not obedient. I have a perfectly great teacher here, Jesus, writing a perfectly awesome book, studying it every day. I am not obedient to my teacher at all.
Well, I don't know about that, Lynn. I think that you are. I think that what Ralphie said is really true. We always let that ego talk about, our shortcomings. And, he was obedient to his teacher, and we're still here showing up in this room. And if you're laughing, you already know it's not true.
Yeah.
See, that's the whole point. I think that there's just this like desire to be both. That's what I think I talked about today, like the hell. I want to be a holy ego, and that's crazy. Plus, Ken would bring it up. We want to be this person. We want the person to stay, but we want to be awake too. Well,
Yeah.
you really can't have both.
You can't be both. You can't have both.
But I think we all listen to, I said today, and this is the truth, we have been guided from the beginning. There has never been a time that we were in the wrong place, ever. And if we stayed too long, that's the ego that's telling us, oh, we shouldn't have been there too long. But the ego doesn't even know, it is a helper though. I look at the ego as a helper because when this stuff comes up, I can see that fear just takes it right from there. And even if I interfere, it still does that. It's still, you can't usurp the power of all, not ever. So that's all.
Yeah. The ego is actually what do you call it? It's neutral. The ego is a tool, and it can be used for either. You can use the ego to wake up, because otherwise we wouldn't be reading this stinking book. You would never have picked up A Course in Miracles if you hadn't had an ego saying, "Hey, I can awaken." Look, here's a way to do it.
We're all looking to be the best on the planet, right? So if we're enlightened, we really made it, and others didn't. That's the ego.
That's it. Karen, please go ahead.
Yeah. Mickey introduced me to Luigi. Has anyone else heard of Luigi?
Muji? Oh gosh, yes.
Not
Oh
Muji.
yeah, I love them. Yeah.
Luigi, L-U.
Oh, Muji,
Oh,
my God,
Muji.
yes.
No,
Muji, we were watching for
not Muji, Luigi,
Muji.
L-U.
Yeah, I know Luigi and Muji.
Okay.
I don't know Luigi. No.
Okay, so Luigi, oh my God, he's so funny. And so,
Luigi's
you guys
hilarious.
isn't he hilarious?
Hilarious. He'll use the word, F-U-C-K, like he's
love
quite the
him.
character.
Well,
Yeah.
he said,
Check this out. Is he
you'll
on
love
YouTube?
him. Lynn, yes,
Yes.
you'll love him. You'll love
You
him.
will love him. You'll love him.
Mickey introduced me, but he said he was drinking Jack Daniels, had a little glass of Jack Daniels while he was, speaking, and he was drinking, and then he lit up a cigarette and he said, what's the big deal? So I'm smoking a cigarette and I'm drinking Jack Daniels. That doesn't mean I'm not awake, and I'm kind of paraphrasing what he said, but we judge how awake should look.
Right.
It doesn't just, he goes, I know who I am. I know who I am. And so what? I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this Jack Daniels right now. And I'm enjoying this cigarette. And then there's nothing wrong with that. There's no guilt here, So I mean, I just thought that was pretty cool.
That's great. Well,
yeah.
and that's my teacher, Chogyam Trungpa. He was drinking all the time. Alan Watts drinking and smoking, standing up there on the stage doing his thing. You can't say anything about Alan Watts. You can't say anything about Nisargadatta. You can't say anything about Chogyam Trungpa. They are awake as awake can be. How do you spell Luigi? I gotta go.
L-U-G-J-I, yes. Okay. I'm sorry, Tim.
What is it?
L-U, and then there's just a hyphen J-I.
Okay. Luigi.
Yeah. Luigi, he's so funny because he curses and he'll just like say, because he's like Mr. Dada Maharaj. That's who he really is like. He's just like him. He just says what he wants to say. That's the best teacher for someone like me. When I get a militant teacher, right away the ego goes, oh, you'll never get there. And I like that he goes around.
Okay, I'm not
Okay,
finding.
thank you, everybody. Gotta go. Bye-bye.
Okay, love you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and shut down the stop the share and shut down the YouTube. It is not I can't find